is up? How are you guys doing? It feels a lot better being on here after a win than a loss. A lot better. I'm going to bring this up real quick. I'm going to let some people come in here. We got some news. We got some news from our Ravens. The Ravens have made a signing. They have brought in help. Help is on the way. I like the signing. I like it. Let me go over here. Let me bring up his stats real quick. Just a second. There we go. Good. How's everybody doing today? How is everybody doing? This is a little bit of a random live stream. Let me go here. Making sure this is all good. Let me make sure I can hear myself. How are you guys doing today? Yep, it's good. All right, so the Ravens, they've made a move. The Ravens have made a move. They are bringing in help. Yannick Ngakoue, who was formerly here in Baltimore back in 2020, has 69 career sacks, over 220 career tackles, 2 interceptions, surprisingly. But they're bringing him back. Practice squad. I love it. Last year, he had 4 sacks with the Bears. Year before that, with the Colts, he had 9.5 sacks. And then we all remember him with the Ravens for the little bit that he was here back in 2020. He had 3 sacks with us. I think this is a good signing. I like it. We have Kyle Van Noy. We have David Ajabo, Adolphe Owe. Even players like, Malik Ham, but still, we have a decent amount of edge rushers. We have like Tavius Robinson as a DN, but I like this. I like this a lot. Reason being, low risk. This is very low risk. The Ravens aren't risking anything bringing him onto the practice squad. They're risking legitimately nothing. Plus, I mean, he's only 29, which is crazy to think because he's been in the league since 2016. That's kind of crazy to think about that he's only 29. But yeah, I like this. I like it a lot. I was going to make another video for you guys today, but I had some technical difficulties. But shoot, we might as well get into it too. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this? I like it. I like it a lot. This is a good depth piece. Experience, can still produce. I'd like to see him in this Ravens defense now because last time we saw him, it would have been with Wink Martindale. And I know edge rushers didn't really like that system too much. Didn't get much sacks. So I'd like to see him in this system now, especially beside players like Travis Jones and Justin Matabike, having a Dolphin on the other side of him. I'm excited. And who knows if he's going to get any playing time. Me personally, I don't know if he's going to get any at all. I mean, practice squad player, if someone goes down, he might. Or, he could just be a practice squad elevation. He might get elevated 2 times, and then they sign him to the actual roster, the active roster. Yep, right to the practice squad, I figured. I didn't think that they would sign him to the active roster just yet. Yeah, so that's good. That's a good signing. Jeff Zrebic said he's surprised. I'm surprised that he's surprised. But while we're here, we might as well get into our regular scheduled program. Game yesterday. We won, even though we tried to lose it. We tried our hardest to lose this game. Everything was perfect. We were up 28-6 in the fourth quarter. The Ravens tried every single thing that they could to go out and lose this football game. Defense? What is defense? What is defense at this point? I don't know. What is defense? You guys tell me. Lamar is Lamar, but we finally got to see Derrick Henry actually be used as we have been wanting. Maybe they wanted to ramp him up. Maybe they didn't want him to just go out there and start getting 25 carries. But yesterday we got to see 25 carries. Derrick Henry went crazy, averaging 6 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. He had like 3 runs that went for over 20 yards. The man was insane. But the thing that I like most about the run game yesterday was the way that they used Justice Hill. How they used Justice Hill yesterday is how Justice Hill should always be used. Let him go out and get some checkdowns, and let him come in and get some big runs. Let him get to the outside. He's speed. Justice Hill, he's one of the only players I've ever witnessed that can actually go out there, have a major injury like he did, and come back even faster. I don't know how that worked. I'll never understand it. But Justice Hill came back, and he's been great for us. He just got extended. I like the extension. I know a bunch of the Ravens community, Ravens fans, they didn't really like the extension too much. And that's okay. Everyone can have their opinion. But to have a player like Justice Hill as your second to third string running back, in my opinion, I think he'll still be over Keaton. Keaton might get more running opportunities. But based off of pass pro and being able to sit there and do multiple things, I think Justice Hill is going to be the running back too for the next 2 years minimum. We have Keaton Mitchell. Hopefully he can come back great. I know we all saw the post he had. He's back to doing 20 miles an hour, so that's amazing to see, especially from Keaton Mitchell. That's something that we've all been wanting to see. Dude's just he's amazing. Hopefully he can come back and be better than he was before. But Derrick Henry and Lamar, they could not be stopped on the ground. We saw the first drive. Lamar, he walked right into the end zone. I mean, the first drive was beautiful. Todd Monken schemed that up perfectly from the snaps to Derrick Henry to the bootleg to Charlie Kolar, the read option whenever Micah's going back and forth on the D-line. It's amazing. It's amazing the type of stuff that they were able to do yesterday. But as we've been seeing for the longest now, they just can't do it in the fourth quarter. I don't know what it is, and we're going to get into that later. But there's something about this fourth quarter that the Ravens just cannot stop themselves. Mike V, I appreciate you, my guy. I appreciate you subscribing, man. Much love to you, man. Let me go ahead and start that. There we go. Appreciate you, Mike. And like I said before, I'll get back to it. We've gotten a bunch more people in here. The Ravens have made a signing. They're bringing back our guy. He hasn't been here since 2020. He was in the Wink Martindale system. We know players didn't really like the Wink Martindale scheme too much. The type of blitzes that they brought in we all remember the quote, sacks are overrated. I don't think they are at all. I would enjoy it if we could get 6 sacks a game. I don't know what that was about when he was here, and that's no hate to Wink. Wink's a great guy, man. He can scheme up a blitz. He's great. You see the Michigan defense. I know they ain't hold Texas to nothing, but they've been playing pretty good. But, yeah, we got some depth now. I like it. I like it a lot. Being able to bring in a guy that's an experienced vet and place him on the practice squad to where there is little to no risk at all. He's not going to get rid of someone else's job. He's on the practice squad. So, if anything, if they need him, they can use him. If they don't need him, then guess what? He's just going to be a vet there to help everyone else out on game day. So, it's a win-win signing for me. And I like it a lot. I like it. Now, the next slide I want to get into is solely about Lamar Jackson. We've all saw it. They like to say anything about Lamar. They want to say, they will rank him however you want to rank him. Do whatever, say whatever you want. One thing that you can't deny about this man is that he single-handedly saved his head coach's job multiple times. Just like we saw yesterday. 28-6, the defense can't stop nothing. You guys are playing prevent. You're letting Dak throw for 380 yards on you, doing whatever you want to do. And once again, you see this guy save you like always. This is exactly why I say Lamar Jackson is the best in the league. No other quarterback in the NFL has saved their head coach day in and day out like Lamar Jackson himself. It is abysmal the type of performances the Baltimore Ravens have had in the fourth quarter. Not just this year, not just last year, not the year before last, not the year before that. For the past 17 years, the Baltimore Ravens have been terrible in the fourth quarter. I'll take that back. Ever since Ray Lewis and Ed Reed left, even though that they weren't that good whenever they were there from 2011 to 2012, they weren't playing too hot. But even then, the Baltimore Ravens have been absolutely terrible in the fourth quarter. We all know what the problem is. We see it on a weekly basis. It is John Harbaugh. You can blame Monken, but you blame Greg Roman for the same thing. Look at Greg Roman now. That man's leading the league in passing and rushing efficiency. The man's going crazy over there in L.A. He's going crazy. The same person that us Ravens fans, yes, us, me included, used to talk down on Greg Roman. He's putting in work in L.A. JK's running for 140. But that's neither here nor there. I know what it is, and it's John Harbaugh. But there is no other player in the NFL, who has went out and saved their head coach day in and day out like Lamar Jackson. And this is just another case for it. This is just another case. We got to see Lamar go out there, even after the terrible call, which should have been a safety. I don't know how you call it illegal touching because there's no one to, like, it's intentional grounding. If Lamar threw that, like he said, I know y'all saw the tweet. Like Lamar said, if he threw that pass, guess what? We saw it. Look against San Fran last year. The ref tripped him. The ref tripped the man. Are you kidding? And then you got Dak over there. And of course it's against the Ravens. Of course. I don't believe in coincidences. Of course it's against the Ravens. But no, Lamar, he day in and day out, every single game, we get down to the fourth quarter, and just like yesterday, we were up 28-6. Think about that for a second. You're up 22 points. 22 points in the fourth quarter, and you almost blew it. It took Lamar hitting Zay on an out route. Perfect catch by Zay. I love how he caught that. He caught it with his body, but the way that he secured it, I love it. And then it took another play of Lamar keeping the rock and taking it 10 yards. There's no one who's done it like Lamar. And I hate when people try to say that this person's above him and this person's better than him. Even Mahomes. Y'all saw Mahomes. He's not better than Lamar right now. If you're talking about right now, screw the championships. Screw the Super Bowls. Screw all the accolades. If you're watching football with your own eyes and you're not sitting there looking, oh, Chiefs are this, Chiefs are that, Lamar's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. And it's not an argument. Lamar is on a completely different level than everyone in the NFL right now. I know you guys saw Marlon Humphrey's live stream. I went out and I put out a tweet about it, and I woke up and it had 1 million views. I did not expect it to go crazy like that. But Marlon Humphrey does his victory live IGs. He does them all the time, every single time they win. Even though I don't really agree with it, especially after a win like this, when you give up 20 or 19 points in the fourth quarter, I don't agree with it. But Marlon went out there and was Instagram Live, this, that. Lamar said, you shouldn't even be on Instagram Live right now. He said, remember when they was talking about the 4 picks you caught and you're out here dropping picks now? He's over there telling his guys, like, what are y'all doing? Y'all are happy right now? Y'all just gave up 14 points in the fourth quarter and almost lost after I gave you a 22-point lead to sit on in the fourth quarter, and you damn near lost? And you're happy about it? On IG Live? Lamar's on a different level right now. And yes, I'm a Ravens fan. Yes, I'm a Ravens fan. Of course I'm a Lamar fan. But before anything, I'm a football fan. And I think anyone that truly watches the game of football for what it is and doesn't rely on all this other stuff to plague their narrative and this and that, y'all know what it is. The Ravens aren't disciplined on defense. They're not disciplined at all. And the number one thing that I hate is early on in the game, they were running 3 deep safeties. They had Marcus Williams sitting in the middle of the field. And if you go back and watch that all-22 film, Dak Prescott was avoiding him like he was allergic to safeties. He wasn't throwing at a safety. Never. But then as soon as the third quarter hits and you got a big lead, you go into cover four. You go into cover four prevent. Why? Why? Why do you go into prevent? Why? Why do you think that you're just going to keep them away from the ball and do this and that? But then you make Trenton Simpson blitz and you got Roquan Smith, who's out of shape, going back and then getting the ball tossed over him. Roquan Smith has been terrible this year. Terrible. Roquan Smith has been awful this year. And I think that if you really go and you look at the tape and you're not being biased, because I want to see Roquan succeed. He's one of my favorite players. That man, Roquan brought the type of energy that we need on this team. He brought the leadership, the energy, the hard hitting. He brought it all. He was exactly what we needed. Yet he's been playing terrible. And I'm just being honest. I'm just going by what I see. And that's not me trying to tear him down or this and that. I'm just showing you exactly what I see. Roquan Smith has been bad this year. It looks like he's gained weight. I don't know what it is. But the fact that they have Trenton Simpson blitzing 90% of the time when he is 6'3" and can jump 40 inches in the air and run a 4.3 is straight outright stupid to me. It's stupid. And that's not in a hating way. It's just straight up stupidity to have someone like Roquan, who is so powerful when rushing the passer, drop back into coverage when he can only jump 6 inches in the air. Like, did they not see week one when he got torched by Rashee Rice on 4 straight plays? Did they also not see week one when you manned up Trenton Simpson on Rashee Rice and he locked him down and got a pass deflection? Or when Trenton Simpson got a hand up and swatted away that Patrick Mahomes pass? I don't know if they're seeing what I'm seeing, but it's stupid. I'm honest. One thing I've always been on Twitter is honest. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel, exactly what I see. It's stupid. I don't agree with it. I don't understand it. I get you want to run a certain scheme, but it has to go to a point where you're saying, okay, Roquan does not fit what we're trying to do right here. Let's switch the roles. Trenton Simpson is athletic as crap. He can make up ground faster than almost anyone on this team, especially with his size. Why do you have him blitzing every play? And then you give up the same route over and over and over and over because you're staying in the same coverage and you're not adjusting. The Ravens are really good at coming out and punching you straight in the face. They are amazing at it. But as soon as they get punched back, it's like they curl up in a ball and they don't know what to do. It's really like they get scared. They don't have they don't have it. They don't have that killer mentality on defense yet. They don't. And I don't know if it's a Zach Orr problem because I know that we all remember whenever Mike McDonald got hired on as our defensive coordinator after Wink left. He got fired. But we remember that they had these mishaps on defense again and again and again and again and again. And it was a repetitive thing for the longest amount of time. So it could just be that. But the way that they're using our players, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. And I won't even say the way that they're using our players. It's really just our linebackers. Our linebackers are completely being misused, in my opinion. I get that Trenton Simpson can rush the passer. Yes, I get it. I know he can. You want him to be what Patrick Queen was for you last year, and I understand it. Patrick Queen was great at helping out our linemen get sacks and helping these stunts and setting them up and dropping back into coverage. I completely understand that, but you got to realize Trenton Simpson isn't Patrick Queen. And in my opinion, if you go look at film, he's been playing better than Patrick Queen this year. His size is something that they have to utilize. They have to. There's no other. It's not a you can't. No, you have to utilize his size. You can't keep having a 6-foot Patrick Queen who can only get 4 inches off the ground, drop back into coverage. You can't keep doing it. You can't. It's going to cost you a lot of games down the stretch, especially against a team like the Bills with Josh Allen who can get passes out quick. Man, you can't do that against the Bills. You can't. You can't do it. They have to adjust, and they can't sit there and let a team keep beating them over and over and over again. You can't. And I think it makes it worse because we sit there, and once Justin Tucker misses a kick, we know what's happening. We know. But that's enough of the bad. Let's look at the good. Let's look at some of the good. The highest graded Ravens, Tyler Linderbaum, great game. 91.4 grade by PFF. Derrick Henry at 85.2 grade. Lamar had an 81.6. And then again, I don't know how they do the grading scale. I think Lamar played amazing, but 81 is still really good. Tyler Linderbaum played great. Daniel Falele played absolutely amazing compared to what we saw the first 2 weeks. I've been hard on Falele. That man played amazing. What we saw yesterday was a completely different version of Falele, and I love it. But the thing I love most about it is Tyler Linderbaum being beside him, because Tyler Linderbaum was helping him out so much, which is what he's been needing. You can't leave him and McCary out there alone by themselves, because like we saw, it's going to lead to destruction on the offensive line. Straight up destruction. It's not going to be good. But after Lamar, Isaiah Likely had a 77.5 grade and Charlie Kolar had a 76.9 grade. Now, while this is up here, I think it was very, very interesting how Mark Andrews only got 33 snaps. Was it 33? It might have been like 20. I can't remember. He wasn't used a lot. He was targeted like once, I'm pretty sure. That's something in my opinion, I'm not going to say we should be concerned about it, but we should definitely keep it in mind. 100% keep it in mind. It's not something that we should just go out and be like, oh, well, they're going to get it to him next game, because no, they won't. It's been 3 games now. Yeah, Mark Andrews had like 3-4 catches last game. It still wasn't the type of Mark Andrews that we've been used to. It hasn't. It hasn't been good, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if the car accident that he got in was worse than we thought, which I hope it wasn't. I'm glad that he had his seatbelt on, all that. I'm glad he would. I'm happy, grateful he did. But it gets to a point, like we're in week 3 now, and you're using Charlie Kolar over Mark. And the thing that makes it even crazier, like I could understand if someone went out there and they were like, well, Charlie Kolar is a better blocking tight end than Mark Andrews. Okay. It's not Mark Andrews, though. You want to have Mark Andrews on the field just because of it being Mark Andrews. A defense has to key on Mark Andrews more than anyone. Same reason you want Derrick Henry out there compared to Justice Hill. You know most of the time it's going to be passed whenever Justice Hill's out there, so you don't have to load the box as much. So when you have Derrick Henry out there and you load the box a lot, it helps out your other guys. It's the same thing with Mark Andrews. So it's really – I don't even know how to put it into words. Like it's confusing. I'll say that. It's confusing why we didn't see Mark Andrews out there more. Even if you want to say, yeah, the blocking was this, the blocking was that, that's cool with me. The blocking can be what it is. But Charlie Kolar ain't Mark Andrews. At least from what we've seen. And that's the thing that makes it weird, because from what we know, Mark Andrews is a dog. He had 1,300 yards like 2 years ago. Dang, that was 3 years ago. Was that 3 years ago? Hold up. That's going to be Mark Andrews stats. Was that 3 years ago? That was 3 years ago. That was 3 years ago? Man, this time's been flying crazy. It's been 3 years since Mark had that breakout year when he had 1,300 yards. That's outrageous. I had no idea. That's outrageous. But yeah, it's been 3. Like we know Mark Andrews for that. And yes, he's been battling with injuries and whatnot. And I know the NFL stands for not for long. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my, is that be real? It is. But that's the thing about Mark Andrews. It's like we know what he can do. So is there something that we don't know about when it comes to Mark Andrews? Because in my opinion, from what I know, there's no reason he shouldn't be out there. Even if Isaiah Likely's been going crazy and Charlie Kolar is really good and up and coming, you got to have a guy like Mark out there. It's just the defense has to play you different when you have him out there. So it's been really, it's interesting to me. It's very interesting. But aside from Mark, let's get back to the offensive line. Tyler Linderbaum, he had a great game. Ronnie Stanley had a really good game, in my opinion. Andrew Voorhees had a good game, in my opinion. Pat McCary looked a lot better. I'd still like to see Roger Rosengarten out there over Pat McCary. There's a lot that Pat McCary can do, but I think from the right tackle position, you get more out of Roger Rosengarten. I think that he's better fit for that position. I think that he's stronger from that position. I know that Pat McCary gives you a little bit more, just a little bit more in run blocking. But I think you get your young guy out there. You get him out there and get him experience, because if you do put him in, I would rather put him in right now than later on. Like when they were up 28-6, they should have went ahead and just put Roger in. Even if they didn't want to, you need to get him the reps because he needs them. He needs the reps. What are your thoughts on Ben Cleveland? So I've been talking about Ben Cleveland for a while now. I think that Ben Cleveland is in the doghouse. We don't know what for. So it could – this is what I think it is. It's one of two things. One, maybe he just don't practice hard enough. Like maybe John Harbaugh really is sitting there and he's like, Ben, you just don't practice hard enough to play like a Raven. Like maybe he really don't play like a Raven in practice. Maybe that's what it is. Even though we've seen Ben Cleveland go into games multiple times and be completely fine and really play good in all the games that he's been in. We saw him last year in the Miami game. He played great. Or number two, maybe he's fed up with Harbaugh. Like I really think maybe Ben Cleveland had to listen to Harbaugh. Like, do y'all remember Marcus Peters? Whenever we gave up that lead and Marcus Peters was out there yelling at Harbaugh, this and that. Maybe that's Ben Cleveland and we don't know about it. Because it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense because we see a guy like Ben Cleveland go out there and play amazing. Such a great offensive lineman. Out of Georgia, too. He played with Todd. He was in Todd Monken's – wait, was he in Todd Monken? Maybe he didn't play with Todd Monken. I can't think. They would have been like a year. Maybe they were together for a year. For 1 year. Yeah, for 1 year. But it makes it even crazier because if Todd Monken has a relationship with a dude like Ben Cleveland all the way back in college, and you see him go in at right guard and be able to give you valuable snaps and actually play very well, whereas you're putting a right tackle into a position he's never played, although he's too big to play that position, even though he played good yesterday. It doesn't make sense to me. And we actually got to see him yesterday. On the first touchdown to Derrick Henry on the goal line, he was in there. He came in the game, and he had a good block. He pulled across from left to right, and good block. I want to see Ben Cleveland out there. I like what I saw from Daniel Falele. I think he played very good. I think Daniel Falele played great compared to what we saw the past 2 weeks. I'm not saying he played great. He played great based on what we saw the 2 previous weeks. But speaking of, let's go ahead and get in to Mr. Falele. Here's the run block grades from this week. Tyler Linderbaum had a 91.5 run block grade, and Mark Andrews had a 90.2, which is even. Like, it doesn't – there's something that's not clicking for me. I don't know why he's not out there more. Something just isn't – I don't know. That's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on for the whole entire season because I don't understand it. And I don't know. I don't know. Isaiah Likely, 88.5 run block. Pat McCary, 73.9 run block. Daniel Falele had a 70.3. And Andrew Voorhees had an 83.9. Andrew Voorhees played a very, very good game. Andrew Voorhees played an amazing game. I'm so happy that we were able to get him in the 7th round. That was such a steal. Though it was worth the wait. It was worth the wait when it comes to Andrew Voorhees because he's been playing great. That man's great. But there's just, I don't know. There's something about Mark Andrews that I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what exactly it is, but I don't know. It's going to be something that we're just going to have to keep track of it. Maybe it's one of those things. Maybe they're going to use him a lot next game against the Bills. We know Matt Milano's out for the season. At least I'm pretty sure he's out for the season. Benford's been having some problems. Maybe they use him next week in the passing game. I don't know. I don't know what's up with Mark though. It's I don't know. Let me get off this topic though. Last topic of the day. I think a lot of people, including Lamar Jackson himself, had a lot to say about these zebras. These zebras. Officials. I won't call them zebras. Officials, referees, whatever you call them. They've been astronomically terrible this year. Especially towards the Ravens. Like they're making calls that I didn't even know were calls. Like I don't understand it. Like I completely and this is another talking point too, because we were talking about it last week. The Ravens have been playing a lot of sloppy football. They've been having tic-tac penalties here and there, and me especially, I've been putting it on John Harbaugh a lot. The tic-tac fouls, just not being disciplined enough late in games. But this game was different. Like, that was a safety for sure. There's no doubt about it. It doesn't matter what lineman caught it, what not. It doesn't matter at all. No matter which way you want to put it, intentional grounding is intentional grounding. You don't go off of something that happened after the intentional grounding. It doesn't matter if he caught it or not. The ref tried to say, oh, well, he caught it, so it's different. No, it's not different. There was no receiver in the space that you were throwing it. That's intentional grounding. It doesn't matter what happened after. If anything, that should be another flag. And you don't pick up the intentional grounding flag. It's just tough seeing it. Because we see these calls each and every week, and it's like they're getting worse and worse every single week. Legitimately every single week. We go from the tic-tac calls in the Chiefs game to not getting calls in the Chiefs game. And then last week we had all the tic-tac PI calls. And then this week we have a roughing the passer by Odafe Oweh. I don't know how he can put Dak down any slower. Like, there's nothing else he can do. He grabbed him by his midsection. It wasn't below the waist. He grabbed him by his midsection. And then he went down to the ground. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want Odafe to do? He has a O lineman on his back, pushing him into Dak. So that force is going to come to. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what you expect these players to do. It's like Ravens players get held to a completely different standard, or really whatever team plays the Chiefs. Because we saw it again with Kyle Pitts. How is that not a PI? You just called the PI. If the Bengals game is a PI, then that's a PI. But of course, you have a Chiefs uniform on, so it's not PI. And I'm not even trying to hate right now. I'm not trying to hate. Excuse me for hating. But it's terrible at this point. And I like how the NFL officials really aren't saying anything about it either. They're like, oh, yeah, I know you guys see it. We see it too. It's on purpose. Like, I don't know what it is. Shane. Hashtag fire. Every time I see a hashtag fire Harbaugh, it makes me smile. Thoughts on Harbaugh? I think we can all come to the conclusion that no matter what happens this year, Not really. I take that back. Not no matter what happens. But there's like a 99.99999% chance that John Harbaugh doesn't get fired this year, no matter what happens. Because he's just so close to Eric DeCosta and Steve. Like I think Harbaugh could legitimately, we're 1-2 right now. He could go 1-16, and I don't think they would fire him, honestly. I don't think they would. I think they would wait until the end of the season and then make a move. But I think that I've came to the conclusion that they're not going to get rid of Harbaugh, which is extremely, extremely unfortunate because of how much he's holding the team back. And I get people can say, well, who else would you hire right now? That's a good question. Good thing we have EDC because that's his job. Go do your job and find someone. Give me the phone book and I'll have someone there at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I promise you. I will have someone who is an offensive mind, who is young, who can go out there and get your guys open and put them in the best position and know how to control a clock. I can do 9 o'clock tomorrow. Give me the phone book. Give me the numbers that I need. Let me make the calls. I will have a new head coach there. 9 a.m. tomorrow, sharp, right in time for practice. But he's not going to get fired this year. So what I'm hoping is that Lamar can somehow get this team together to a point to where they can all agree that Harbaugh is out of his damn mind sometimes. Sorry for cussing. He's out of his mind sometimes. Just like yesterday, we can see how conservative he is. And it kills us. We almost blew a 22-point lead in the fourth quarter. Lamar needs to threaten to retire. I would actually love that. I mean, he put out the trade request and look at how that worked. So if he threatens to retire, they should go on strike. They should go on strike. And that's another thing that we need to get into real quick. I'm going to get back to the comments here in a minute. But we've been talking about how Harbaugh has had control of this offense. 100% has had control of this offense. It doesn't matter who's the OC. They do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I think we can all agree that yesterday the offense was something that we have not seen in a long time. That's Todd Monken. So, in my opinion, using my context clues, using my phone, using sources from people that know stuff, I think Harbaugh knows that he's on the hot seat. Could I be wrong? I guess so. But I think we all know after watching that game yesterday, it was a completely different offense that we have not witnessed this year. The urgency that they came into the game with, they were sharp. They were sharp on offense. They were ready to go, something that we haven't saw. And maybe that is just a random good game. It could be. But I think Harbaugh knows he's on the hot seat. 100%. I think he knows. And yesterday, that offense looked a lot like a Todd Monken Georgia offense that we were used to seeing. The boots. I loved it. It was such a good offensive game plan, especially against a team like the Cowboys that can't stop the run for nothing. They are awful against the run. Like, I don't know if there's any Cowboys fans in here, and I'm not trying to dog y'all or anything, but they're absolutely abysmal when it comes to run defense. Mazi Smith, I don't know why they made bro lose all that weight. He was perfectly fine when he came into the league. He could have been Michael Pierce 2.0. But did Jerry make him lose weight? I don't know. He lost too much weight because he's not doing anything now. He's not good anymore. He needs to get his weight back up. They can't do anything against the run. They can't do anything against the run. It was terrible. They can't fit run gap. They are awful against the run. So it was a great game plan. I'll leave it like that. It was a great game plan. But back to Harbaugh. I don't think it's Harbaugh right now. The defense is blowing leads. Zach Orr just needs to scheme better. And that's something else that I was talking about earlier. When it comes to Zach Orr, we remember that Mike Macdonald, whenever he first became the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, they were blowing coverages like the Miami game when they scored like 3 straight touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Yesterday was about to be the Miami game. The Miami game, I'm pretty sure it was week 3. Was it week 3 or week 2? I can't remember. No, it was week 3. So it was about to be like the Miami game. And they were just giving up coverage after coverage after coverage after coverage. And we didn't know what was going on. We were like, this dude Mike Mack is terrible. We didn't know what it was. We were downright confused when it came to Mike Mack. But as we saw later on in the season, he was able to get it going. And the defense played better and better and better each and every game. So we don't know if it's that. I think that the personnel usage has been pretty bad linebacker-wise. That's what I was talking about earlier. The usage of the linebackers has been terrible, in my opinion. I don't know why they have Trenton Simpson rushing the passer and Roquan Smith dropping into coverage. He can't jump 6 inches off the ground. I don't know. It's terrible to me. It's awful. But I know one thing for sure, which is Harbaugh, is the conservative play down the stretch. No matter who the defensive coordinator's been, no matter who the offensive coordinator's been, no matter who the quarterback's been, no matter who we have at wide receiver, no matter what the O-line looks like, no matter what the defense looks like, there's been too many different variables. One thing that has stayed constant throughout all of it is the Ravens playing extremely conservative in the fourth quarter. And that goes back to Harbaugh. Harbaugh's a great head coach. And for as much as I talk down on Harbaugh, I want to make that clear. Harbaugh is a phenomenal head coach. From Monday to Saturday, amazing head coach. Might be top 3 in the league. Honestly, from Monday to Saturday. But once we get to Sundays, he's not that type of game day coach that you need in the NFL to really win games. Sean McVay can go out there and make his team win from a coaching perspective. Andy Reid can go out there and make his team win from a coaching perspective. Mike Macdonald, honestly, with what he's been doing for the Seahawks, he can go out there and win you a game just based off of his defensive scheme. Harbaugh's not like that. He's not an offensive-minded coach. He's not a defensive-minded coach. From what we've been seeing, he's really not a special teams-minded coach either. I mean, Justin Tucker's been out here missing all these kicks, terrible punts, been having tons of penalties on kickoffs. I think a change of scenery would definitely benefit both sides. And it's nothing against Harbaugh because, like I said, he's a phenomenal head coach from Monday to Saturday. But on game day, when you really need him the most, he's the weak spot in our team. I do think he would get picked up 30. You followed up by saying this. He'd be picked up 30 minutes after he gets fired. I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with it. Honestly, I know he would get picked up. Maybe not picked up. Maybe he would get so many calls that he would be able to sit there and be like, man, I'm getting all these calls. I'm going to just sit here and relax, wait till the season, wait to see who gives me the biggest check. And then he would make his decision. But I know there would be multiple teams calling for him if he got fired right now. Right now, there would be multiple. Harbaugh looked scared when he was giving out the game balls. I'm glad you said that, Shane. I'm glad you said that. Also, the Bengals and Bills allow around 150 yards per game on the ground. I'm glad you brought this up. Is there a way that I can? Here we go. I mess with the minimal. I mess with that. There we go. Was it just me or did the locker room look really fed up when Harbaugh was giving out game balls? Was I the only one that saw that? And really, I didn't see it. I just felt like the locker room was really upset and really tired of the way that they've been playing in the fourth quarter. I think the locker room was just straight up just uneasy over it. I didn't really focus on Harbaugh too much, so I'll have to go back and look and see if he really did look scared. But I swear the locker room, just the vibe that they were giving off wasn't good. It wasn't, in my opinion. They looked annoyed. They looked like they weren't happy at all. And who knows what for? Maybe it was just because they blew. Maybe it's just because they blew a lead again. Maybe. But it didn't look good. Some of the players in the background, like they weren't interested. They didn't care. It sounded like they didn't care about what Harbaugh had to say. Bro, looking like Ray Lewis in year 15. I swear. Are y'all seeing that, man? If there's a wide receiver going across the field behind Roquan, it's over. They're catching the ball because Roquan ain't tipping nothing. And shout out to Rowe for the interception against the Chiefs. But, man, what was that yesterday? I don't know if they have him playing further up. I don't know. I still think Trenton Simpson and him need to flip. Have Trenton Simpson drop into coverage, man. He can do it. He can do it. I promise. I promise he can do it. I promise he can. Derrick Henry intimidates him. Probably Derrick Henry, if I was standing face to face with that man, I'd probably be intimidated too. Bro's like a horse. Bro's like a bull. What is he, like 6'3", 250? Dude is a unit, man. I know we all saw that stiff arm yesterday. But like I said at the beginning of this video, let me go back one more time. The Ravens have brought in Yannick Ngakoue again. Brought him back in. He's on the practice squad too. They didn't sign him to the active roster. Not yet. Who knows? He might. But as of right now, it's zero risk. Zero risk for them at all. Bring him in. Let him chill in the practice squad. Get up and moving. Who knows what type of shape he's in? We haven't saw him since last year. Even though he was here we go. Last year he had 4 sacks. Let's see how many games he played last season. Game log. Yeah, he played a lot of games. So who knows? Who knows what he's looking like? He played 13 games last season. So 4 sacks in 13 games. Who knows how much he played in those games? I'm going to have to go back. I have film to watch now, which I'm excited for. I get to go back and watch some film. I love this. Whenever a new team acquires a player, you get to go back, watch the film, see how good they're going to fit in with the current scheme. I love it. And like I said in the beginning, this is going to be completely different than the first time that he was here. I know everyone remembers the first time he was here. He had, 3 sacks? Yeah, he had 3 sacks when he was first here. I think it's going to be completely different this time. We heard multiple players from Matt Judon. I mean, shoot, y'all saw Matt Judon. He went from getting 6 to 9 sacks to darn 15 when he went to the Patriots. So seeing Yannick in a legit pass rush scheme, when it gives the pass rushers the ability to go after the quarterback, I think it's going to fit him well. Now, who knows if we see him? We might not even see him in a game. We really might not. He's just on the practice squad. They could just be having him there like, hey, we might need you down the stretch if someone gets hurt. But I think we'll see him. Very talented player. But similar to Odafe Owe, they kind of share the same negatives. They both have trouble finishing the play. So hopefully they can get it finished up. Roquan taking the O-line's lunches, give the minnows. Bro, why are you dogging Roquan, man? Why are you dogging Roquan like that? He definitely he was living life though, for sure. Shout out Ro. He was living life this summer. You can tell. That man was eating good. He was eating good. But no, I think Roquan, he's not in prime shape yet. So that's one thing. Maybe that gets cleaned up throughout the year. We know Roquan likes to play at a little bit heavier weight. He be hitting people. So you got to have some mass on you when it comes to making plays like that. But I think a simple fix for this defense would just be flipping Trenton Simpson and Patrick Queen's roles. I get that you want to have Roquan drop back. I get it. He's your guy. He's a $20 million man. I get it. But it has to get to a point where you want to put your players in the best situation to succeed. And when you have Trenton Simpson rushing the passer and Roquan Smith dropping back into coverage, right now that's not a recipe for success. It's not. Just being completely honest, it's not a recipe for success. You're not going to go out there and win games like that. We saw it in the Chiefs game. Roquan was getting burnt. So put him in better situations. Let him get after the passer. And plus, imagine how much more the defense would be able to scheme against certain players if they switch that up more often. Because now you see Trent Simpson come in and you're like, all right, I know what you're doing. Even though he does drop back sometimes, it makes you think extra. And it's the same exact thing that we're saying about Mark Andrews. Get him in the game just because it gives you a different type. The defense has to play you different when Mark's in the game. The defense has to play you different when Lamar's in the game. The defense has to play you different when Derrick Henry's in the game. And the defense has to play you different when Mark's in the game. When those three players are in the game, you got to play different. Even if Mark hasn't been playing the best. Maybe he's not, and it goes back to the car accident. Maybe he's not fully up to ready yet. Maybe he's just not ready. Maybe he's still recovering. He was out for like 2 weeks? A lot longer than we thought. But maybe he's just not back up to shape yet. Who knows? We don't know. One thing I do know is that Mark needs to be out there, though. Same way that Trenton Simpson needs to drop back into coverage, because I know there were 2 plays. If that's Trenton Simpson in coverage, they might be interceptions. That's all I'm going to say. If you switch the spot and you put Trenton Simpson back there instead of Roquan and let Roquan get after it might be going the other way. I ain't going to promise nothing, but it might. It very well might. But I'm going to get out of here on that note. I appreciate all y'all coming in, spending time with me. We got 102 people in here. Oh, wait, one more. 2 more. It felt like they were in I formation a lot this game, which led to D. Henry having a big game. I think he ran that off 100%. They were in the thing about the offense, not only were they in I form a lot more, but it felt like they were getting certain offensive linemen in better positions throughout the game to where it allowed them to capitalize on the defensive line. That defensive line was terrible. But in previous games, the way that they were running the plays, like they had Andrew Voorhees pulling across the whole entire field, like they were doing too much. They simplified it. They ran more to the left side of the field. We needed them to run more to the left side behind Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum. And additionally, Andrew Voorhees. Running to the right side of the field, it really doesn't go anywhere. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. So they stopped with the self-inflicted wounds, which made such a big difference in this game. They don't make a big difference every single play, but I swear they add up a lot. Running to the right side and getting a 1-yard gain on first down is completely different than running to the left and getting a 3-yard gain. That's 2 and 7 compared to 2 and 9. 2 and 9, you might run a straight up shotgun pass. Whereas 2 and 7, you might just run it again, get down to 3rd and 3. It's that big of a difference, and it takes you that much further. This it does so much for your team. It does, getting rid of the little mistakes that you make day in and day out, which is still early in the season. Like we can't, me included, we can't get too worked up. I'm a Ravens fan. I get worked up about almost everything that the Ravens do, and I forever will, because it's in my blood at this point. The Ravens done made me crazy. It's their fault. I've been having John Harbaugh as my head coach. It made me crazy. I can't help it. That's tough. Roquan be missing these passes by inches. I swear, it's like this much, and that's what I'm saying. If you have Trenton Simpson out there, it might be going the other way. That's all I'm going to say. It might be going the other way. There's a good 70% chance it's going the other way though. Good 70% chance. I'd love to see him switch their roles. I would love it. Especially with his versatility. And that's the thing about Trenton Simpson. He covers ground in a outrageous rate. He can make up ground so fast. It's almost like Nate Wiggins, which we didn't even talk about Nate today. He played pretty good. He had the one terrible defensive pass interference. Thankfully, there was a hold on Adolphe Elway, so it canceled out. But other than that play, he played pretty good. Once he starts, and it was really the same mistakes that he was making in that first preseason game. If y'all remember, that first preseason game, they targeted him once on that comeback route, shut it down, and then right after that, they targeted him again down. I forget who was that. Was that John Brown? I can't remember. They targeted him downfield with a speedy receiver. And if he would have turned his head, it's an interception. It's the same thing. He's right there. Like I'm telling, Nate Wiggins is right there with CeeDee Lamb. He was right there with them the whole entire game. Once he starts turning his head around, man, he's going to get a pick 6 here soon. Because if he gets his hand on the ball, it's 6. Once he turns his head around, it's going to be nasty Nate out there, man. Nate Wiggins, man, he's about to be good. He's about to be good for a long time, too. That man he played great. Had a few rookie mistakes, what you expect. He's a rookie. He's going to have plenty of mistakes. Plenty. But Nate Wiggins is going to be special, man. But I'm going to end on that note. I appreciate each and every one of y'all coming out today, spending some time in here. Originally, I was going to make this video a little bit longer, but I had some technical difficulties, and it made me a little bit mad. I'm not going to lie. So I had to lay in bed. I had to lay down for a little bit. But then I got that notification on my phone. They say Yannick Ngakoue has been signed by the Baltimore Ravens. I got right out of bed, made my bed, sat in this chair, hit go live immediately. So I appreciate all of you guys coming in here, spending time with me, catching up on the Ravens. I'm glad that we got the win. It feels much better going into the week on a win. Even though we almost blew it, it's still a win. I'm not satisfied, but it's a win. But I appreciate all of you guys coming out here, spending time in here. I'll be looking forward to see y'all again. If you haven't already, go sub to my new YouTube channel. I haven't been posting YouTube videos on there yet. It's just these streams that I'm also streaming to Twitch. But I promise you, as soon as I get this software figured out, I have software to do it. It's just that my computer, one, I need a new computer because my computer is extremely slow. But two, I need to get the software right. But once I do that, man, I'm going to be making those videos crazy. That's enough yapping for me, man. I appreciate all of you guys. Have a great day. Have an amazing day. And go Commanders.